everyone. I hope you guys are having a fantastic start to your day. I'm hopping on to share a really cool story with you guys of a lady that I knew personally, her deliverance testimony, and how God supernaturally delivered her from anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts. Okay. And this is a story that I've shared once or twice on lives, but God was telling me to put it on a shorter video and that it will help some people. Okay. Now, sometimes God will ask us to do things in our lives that may not make a lot of sense to us in the moment. And that was very much this lady's story. And what's interesting is God was showing her something that she had in her lifestyle that was contributing to the torment that she was under in her personal life and the oppression that she was receiving from the enemy. And so this lady, after she became a Christian, she was in a prayer time and God started talking to her and prompting her on a thing. And he said, you really need to get rid of these books and these movies that you have, and you need to, completely get them out of your house, kind of a deal. And the books and movies that he was talking about, she was major, big time. Her entire friend group, she was very much into anime and to manga culture. And she had a bunch of stuff, like thousands of dollars worth of stuff. She had like Sailor Moon, she had Dragon Ball Z, she had like all of this stuff, plus more, and her whole friend group was very much into this stuff, and she was very much into it. It was her life for years. And, God started prompting her with this, and she said, that can't be right, and she was very upset by it because, of course, it was very much a part of the culture that she was in. It was very much a part of, just what her entire friend group did for fun, and so for God to tell her, you need to get rid of all of this, she initially doubted that she was hearing from God. And she was like, well, I'm just not going to act on this right now because, I'm just going to wait and see. And so the problem was, at the time, she was very much dealing with these really intrusive thoughts. She had very severe anxiety, very severe depression. She was dealing with a lot of fear in her life, and she was even having suicidal thoughts. And it was absolutely tormenting her. She was on depression medication from the doctor, but to be honest, the way she shares it is that it really wasn't doing much for her. The torment was still continuing. It took the edge off a little bit, but she was just absolutely being tormented by all of this stuff. And she continued in her prayer times. And again, God was bringing it up. You need to get rid of this anime stuff, this manga stuff, whatever, this is. He was like, all the movies, all the stuff on this, he was like, you need to get it out of your house. And she started having this conversation with God. She was like, I don't see the harm in this. And she said, this is something that I really enjoy, and I have thousands of dollars worth of stuff. I don't want to get rid of this, God. And she was kind of having this conversation, and God just went quiet. He didn't change his response. He said, you need to get rid of it. So he kept talking to her about it. And finally, after all of this, she kind of succumbed, and she was like, you know what? I don't get this, God, but I'll go and I'll sell it. And he spoke to her very directly. He said, you will not sell it. You will put it in the trash and you will get rid of it. Do not pass this stuff on to anybody else. And she was like, well, God, that's a lot of money that I'm going to lose. I'm already willing to give it up. And he was like, do not pass it along. Trash it. Get rid of this stuff. He even told her with a few of the items that she needed to burn it. Okay. And so she got obedient to it, didn't understand it, but did it. It was hard for her, but she ended up getting rid of stuff. And as soon as she did that and got that stuff out of her house, the intrusive thoughts stopped. She got supernaturally delivered from anxiety and depression. She no longer had those suicidal thoughts. And God totally and completely set her free from that. She was able to wean off of that depression medication and is no longer on it to this day. And it just goes to show you that when God asks us to do something, he asks us to do something for a reason. A lot of times we don't understand that demonic stuff gets attached to things in our environment. And God pointed out something to her after the fact. She had a friend group they were all into this stuff, right? And he said, did you notice that every single person in your friend group, for the most part, that's into this anime stuff struggles with the same types of things? They all were struggling with either anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, or gender identity issues. And God was showing her these are the types of demons that get attached to this stuff. And he said, once you removed that stuff from your life, that's why you were able to see some deliverance in these areas. And he really, really started to talk to her. He was like, you need to warn the people in your friend group to get rid of this stuff. And he warned her ahead of time. He said, a lot of them are not going to receive it. They're just going to get offended by this. And he said, but that is not your responsibility. And then he said, if they are unwilling to separate from this, and if they're not willing to hang out with you without being around this stuff, you need to distance there. And you need to make sure that you are not staying involved in this stuff in your life, because he said it is leading to the oppression that you've been under. And so she slowly started to kind of clean out that stuff. And she did warn a lot of her friends, and most of them did not take it seriously, and they continued to stay under a lot of that oppression. And so all of that to say, ladies and gents, you know, a lot of people think that demons and the demonic does not exist and that it's not impacting their life. This is a real life testimony of a Christian, not an unbeliever, a Christian who was dealing with very severe torment from the enemy, and God supernaturally delivered her when she was obedient to cleanse her house of these things and to get rid of this stuff from the culture, you know, that was directly, you know, going against God, and all of this stuff that was attached to it. So you have to decide, do you want to be made well? This was not an easy decision for her. She truly enjoyed this stuff, right? But we've got to make a decision. Do we want God, and do we want freedom and to be set free? Or do we want to keep things in our life that we really enjoy and stay in a place of disobedience? Amen. So I will leave you guys with that for today. Really cool story. Hope you guys have a great day. I'll chat with you again soon.